So I hope I've convinced you with my numbers and mediocre charts that we are seeing a real and important and scaled rise in conversational media. And so what I wanted to spend the next few minutes talking about is if in fact that's true, what I've just told you, the rise of conversational media and that our customers are spending time there, we as marketers need to figure out a way to market conversationally. The rise of conversational media is calling on us to develop conversational marketing. Why, you might ask? I've put up here two pictures. One of them is Vanity Fair magazine, which is read by college-educated women, primarily 18 to 49. It's an audience of people that you can reach in a lot of other places besides Vanity Fair magazine. This is an ad network, AdBright. You can go in and punch in college-educated female, 18 to 49, and it'll give you an opportunity to buy media there. The value that's created by Vanity Fair, the sort of engagement that they create with their audience, is significantly different than what we can do through an ad network right now. And that value, I think a good proxy for that, you know, I'm on the publishing side of things. I wish I could name prices and make folks like you pay those prices, but ultimately you tell me what value I'm creating and what you're going to pay. And when you take a look at the CPMs at Vanity Fair, I'm sorry, people in the back probably can't see this, but it's an average of $100 CPM for display advertising in Vanity Fair. For reaching women 18 to 49 through an ad network online like AdBright or Google, it's $1.50 CPM. So what is that? Almost 2 orders of magnitude more value created through advertising in a way that was more conversational with a high engagement media brand than reaching that same demographic through sort of an algorithm. So I want to sort of think about what this means, sort of conversational marketing, and I want to sort of look at a historical analogy. This is, I want to walk through the Apple's first Macintosh ad. I don't know how old people are. Do people remember that, 1984 Super Bowl? Some heads nodding. For those of you who don't know it, Apple unveiled the Macintosh computer in 1984 with a 60-second commercial that they ran once in the Super Bowl that year. Probably about $600,000 investment in that time to buy that ad. I think of that as engagement. It was a great TV commercial. It was a commercial that was as good as the best television we watched. And so a lot of us watched it. You might say TiVo wasn't around then, but the remote control was around then. And we all understood how commercial breaks worked. In 1984, we could have walked off to get another beer. A lot of us didn't, because it was content it was advertising content that was as good as the television programming. So a lot of us watched it. The other thing that happened is the quality of that marketing amplified. It amplified into press. And so that night, just the televised, network television coverage of that campaign that night is estimated to be worth about $5 million. And that's not counting, that's sort of professional grade PR. That's not counting those of us who were impressed with the commercial and talked about it at the water cooler at work the next day, kind of word of mouth PR. But great advertising, great engagement around brand assets has always been able to amplify into PR and word of mouth. The combination of these two things, of great brand assets, a great brand, and a product that's articulated to us through an asset like a TV commercial in the old days, could drive PR. It's a website that's been very appealing to IT professionals and geeks, yet the content of the site, Pop URLs, is very general interest in terms of the news and digital culture that it covers. We connected with Intel. Intel said, boy, it'd be great if you could use the technology of Pop URLs and the audience of Pop URLs, enterprise IT, but instead of giving them something to read on their weekends, why don't we give them something to read when they're having their first cup of coffee in the morning? Let's build the daily newspaper, the morning newspaper, the Web 2.0 morning newspaper for enterprise IT. And we teamed up with the guy who makes Pop URL and said, why don't you make a brand extension? Let's take the technology, but let's change the subject matter so it's geekier. Security, notebooks, PC maintenance, virtualization. Those of you from Nike in the room, you may not even know these terms. But for those of you from Microsoft and Intel, they resonate and they're connected to something. And Intel said, listen, we're going to fund product development in this. We're going to fund building something new. What we'd like is our name at the top, so we're building some brand. We'd also like relevant assets of ours, blog posts from Intel's site, white papers and webcasts that are related to these topics to be a part of this experience. And I put some stats at the top of the screen here that in the first 6 weeks of this campaign, a site that we built all of a sudden had 40,000 visitors to the site, which is kind of nice. It's a pretty big audience relatively quickly. But the more important thing is that second stat, which is 50% of the people that were visiting the site came back for more. So we'd created something that's very difficult for marketers to do, which is engagement around content. And what happens when you engage with people that way is, in today's internet, they go off to the digital water cooler and they talk about it and tell their friends about it and tell their colleagues about it and point to it. And so in 6 weeks from launching this site, there are 1,700 other websites that are linked back to it. So that's 1,700 instances where, depending on the size of the blogger, it's one person endorsing this concept to his 10 friends. So it's building credibility in smaller increments. It's also driving free traffic back. Intel bought marketing and paid for media to promote this site, but it's starting to get a lot of free marketing for that. The other thing that's happening is, for the pictures, people can't see it, this is people linking to it from Facebook profile pages, someone up here blogging about it. Down here is a social bookmarking site called Stumbled Upon. People were twittering about it. Those Twitterers, I think is the term for that. But something else happened, which is in that third bucket of equity. This is a Google result page. This was something I took a couple weeks ago. These things change on a daily basis. But 6 weeks into the program, I went to Google and typed enterprise IT, a phrase that's very important to the enterprise. Intel, hit return, and what you see is Google found nearly 36 million pages that might be relevant for that query. 36 million pages. The 8th most relevant one is the Intel-sponsored Pop URLs website. And so what Google is recognizing is, I don't care who funded this project, media has been created, and that media is part of the conversation. And the proof of that is 1,700, it's probably more now, of people pointing in to this information. So it's a way of thinking about marketing that starts as advertising, has sort of a PR word of mouth amplification process, and ultimately is inserting Intel into the conversation that they want to be in. I want to shift gears from the enterprise space, from virtualization to when did online marketing become so complex? That's an article that I could actually read. This is a picture of American Express's website. Their small business brand is called Open Forum. And what American Express was finding is that they could do all the advertising in the world and get 0.2%, sometimes 0.21% click-through on their banners and drive people to their website. And they're an excellent company at doing that kind of direct marketing. But people came to the website when they needed a credit card or a debit card of some kind, came, signed up, left, and didn't visit American Express again. And what they found is that the small population of people that came to their website on a regular basis spent more on their cards. They were better American Express customers. And so American Express said, how can we be more relevant to these people? How can we get traffic through search? How can we get people feeling loyal to our website? They kind of came to the conclusion that we become a publisher. We sell financial services products. How can we become a publisher and create content? And the way they decided to do that was through partnership. And so these are 3 of about a dozen independent blog authors, business consultants that maintain their own websites. Anita Campbell from Small Business Trends, Scott Belsky from Behance, who have the American Express audience coming to their websites because they create great and valuable content. American Express said, why don't we get those people to create content about small business, not about American Express, not advertorial, not pay-per-click business, but valid information for small business that would give them a reason to come to the American Express website. And so American Express sort of switched and said, we don't have in-house talent to become a publisher, but we do know how to make partnerships with the people who are best at being those publishers.